Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the studios of Cable 2 and the courtesy of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System. We're so grateful for their hospitality and so grateful that you've decided to tune in and spend the next 30 minutes with us. We have a lot to talk about on this program, including talking about some special events coming up, fun events that you'll like, and some special services that are available for folks that need it. And that encompasses a lot of us. And what we need to do right now is talk about the great things going on at Smith Reynolds Airport. And there's one person that knows about all that. Mark Davidon's Airport Director at Smith Reynolds. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, I understand you had a special ribbon cutting event at the airport recently. What was that all about?
Yeah, we actually had two projects going on. We knocked them both out. We had a ribbon cutting for two new corporate hangars. We had just built, Shellco built two 20,000 square foot hangars, corporate hangars. And then we also had a kickoff for the terminal renovations. That's about an $11 million project that we're going to start. So we had a lot of guests out at the airport, over 100, and we invited all the neighbors, and we had a great event.
You say a terminal renovation. We didn't plan to really talk about this, but I'm just curious. Once that's up and running, I mean, is there a completion date and you're looking ahead? When will those be finished?
Yeah, we're looking, it's a long process for the terminal to be renovated. It was built in 1941, so
That's
there's
right.
a lot of mechanical issues and things like that to fix out. But we're looking at December 2020. I hate giving out dates.
Well,
2024.
that's all right.
Probably 400-day project.
Yeah. All right. Now, any other projects you want to mention, or can you mention, that might be underway soon that haven't started? Or
Yeah, if you go up and down North Liberty Street, you'll see a lot of construction going on. Like I mentioned, the corporate hangars and the terminal renovations. But we also have a $14.9 million maintenance, repair, and overhaul hangar that we're going to be building as soon as we're done with the environmental assessment. We have some work on the airfield a lot of people don't see, but our taxiway Alpha, we're going to try to get that done and rehabilitated. And so just a lot of funds are going into the airport.
Now, and you know, when you talk about funds going into it, there are folks that sit there and say, well, wait a minute, how does that affect me? Well, you know, you're helping to, help bring business and industry in here that know that they've got these hangars, know that you have these services. And I just think what you're doing is important and the expansion is important. So it really affects all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that the airports are pretty much self-funding. The gases that are the gas tax and things like that. So a lot of the money that we get in are from grants from the North Carolina Department of Transportation or the FAA, and then we just have to come up with a local match at 10%, or there might not even be a local match. But a lot of the operations are funded by the revenue we generate from our tenants. So if you leased a new hangar from us, we would utilize that money to pay for our utilities, pay for the airfield lights, pay for salaries and things like that. So.
You know, sometimes you hear industry folks and media pundits talk about how airport projects are, what's the term they use, economic engines for the community. How does Smith Reynolds Airport stack up in that regard?
Yeah, we've done very well. The last several years, the North Carolina Department of Transportation does an economic impact study every 2 years, and there's 72 public use airports in the state of North Carolina. 10 of them are commercial service, have regular airline service.
Right.
The 62 that don't, Smith Reynolds leads in economic impact. There's over 3,000 jobs related to the airport. I think it's 859 million of economic impact from the airport. So we measure up pretty well. We're the top of the 62 general aviation airports in the state.
Have you always been, again, we didn't rehearse this, and have you always been interested in aviation? Did you come to it late or what?
I was at Jacksonville University, just a business major, and I noticed they had an aviation management program, and so I enrolled. I've been in it, I hate to say it, over 30 years now. So.
Well, you don't look old enough to have been in it for 30 years,
yeah.
But I'm glad you're in it because you do a lot of good work around here, and we couldn't do without you. I want to put up a website, smithreynolds.org. Is that still a good website for people to go to?
That is still a good website. And we're going to be uploading a video we just got from the North Carolina Department of Transportation. It's a pretty cool video. It shows of the aircraft that filed flight plans at the airport. It shows over the course of a year where they went. And some of the interesting things you'll see at the end of the video is that 48 of the states people flew from or to from Smith Reynolds Airport.
Wow.
So only two that we didn't get, North Dakota and Idaho. I don't know if anybody wants to try to fly to those two states and we can knock out.
North Dakota and Idaho.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
well, if you're watching it, from North Dakota and Idaho, get with the plan, will you? Hey, Mark, I know you're always busy. Thanks for taking time to come over here.
I appreciate it. Thank
All right.
you.
We'll be right back after this.
Help emergency responders help you when you can't help yourself. Forsyth Cares. Forsyth Cares, the Community Assistance Registry for Emergency Services, allows you to register yourself or someone in your household sharing health conditions or information that might aid in your care should your home be the subject of a 911 call.
911, what's your emergency?
Operators will see critical information, medications, conditions, or in the case of a wandering child or an adult with cognitive disabilities, places they like to go, or even if they have access to a vehicle. The information is stored in a database only accessible to first responders and 911 agents. Get more information at forsyth.cc/Forsyth Cares. In the moment that your life depends on a fast response, get information to first responders that can aid in your or your loved one's care. That's forsyth.cc/Forsyth Cares.
Back now on this edition of Forsyth County Connections. I was just having a conversation off camera because I know this gentleman for many years.
That's right.
Ed McNeal, of course, now he's Director of Communications for Forsyth County, and thank you for being here, stranger.
Yeah, thank you for having us in today.
Ed is our executive producer, and he did not force himself on me. We wanted him to come in because I want you to talk about this resident survey. Now, if anything ever affected everybody, this would affect everybody. I mean, this is one of those things that affects. What is the resident survey?
Yeah, so every 2 years, the Forsyth County Commissioners have decided they want to hear from residents about some specific things. They want to get a sense of the community's perception, and then they also want to break it down and look at their views on satisfaction for certain services. And so back in 2021, the focus was, okay, let's get this survey out there, let's hear from the residents, let's remind them. And there was a target placed on this. So we said we need to hear from about 1,200 people across the entire county to make it valid. That's right.
Like the political polls,
exactly.
They're 300 and some million people in the country, but if you can get 1,000 to respond to a survey.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that was the focus. If we get the 1,200 people, we'll be fine. Well, we ended up with 1,400. And so this allows you to make some inferences with respect to what people believe about certain programs and different activities. And so we saw a lot of information come back in and then began to make some adjustments after that.
Well, somebody, what if they look at this and say, Mr. McNeal, I don't like to take those surveys. What do you say to somebody? They're a resident. I mean, this affects their lives, doesn't it?
It does affect their lives, and it's a great question because I think about it in this way. I have to think about it as being as valuable as my vote. So as valuable as my vote is once every 4 years or every 2 years, of course we have elections every year,
right?
But as valuable as your vote is, the survey, okay? The survey is your opportunity to say, okay, am I satisfied with the way the county is communicating its services and programs? Well, I'm not satisfied. I think you should do better. Well, when that information comes in, then the county looks at that and says, okay, well, what should we do? How should we make improvements? And so, again, I'll go back to it. Completing the survey is just as important as voting. And so one of the nice factors that's built into the survey is that when it goes out, the survey is followed up by phone calls and emails to say to the resident, hey, if you haven't completed it, please try to get it back into us.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I can't imagine why somebody would not want to take this because, look, as you said, this is going to end up, the input is going to help determine maybe the commissioners, how they determine where certain money's going to go.
Exactly. So we're coming up to the season. And in fact, this month, we will distribute the survey, and the way it works timing-wise, we'll get that survey back in October, November, and begin to compile it for the commissioners to see. And the winter work session will give that to them. And then they'll be able to see this information. Well, think about what the winter work session is. That's also the time that they're beginning to talk about budget.
Absolutely.
The time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
how you say, how is it going to be distributed? You use the word distributed. How do I access this thing?
So the survey will be mailed to residents. As we said, 1,400 is what you're hoping for. There's more than that are mailed out, but the surveys will be mailed out. There will be a county seal, so it looks like it's coming from us, right? We want to have that that credibility. The seal will be on it. It's a paper survey, but it gives you an option to scan a QR code or to go follow a URL
Right.
and to go in and complete it online. But it will be sent out to the residents, and of course the system is paying attention to see how many are coming in so that we can be focused on getting the right
I
number.
don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but I'm curious if I fill it out and I sign my name or whatever, is it confidential or what?
I don't believe the survey has a location for name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
answers the question then. So you don't have to worry about your opinion being somewhere. Every opinion.
That's right.
Your slogan will be something like, "Your vote counts. So does this survey."
Yeah.
I like your
Yeah.
analogy about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is great. So people should look out for this to come in the mail about when?
This month.
This month.
If you're watching this show, that survey could be sitting in your mailbox right now.
All right. Ed, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
This is what too much sounds like. This is what stress feels like. And this is what help feels like. If you've lost a job, worry about your next meal, or have trouble making it through the day, we can help. Text STRESS to 211-211 to find a solution.
Back now for Forsyth County Connections, and so glad to have this first-time visitor to the show. Micki Pope, a social worker for Forsyth County Department of Social Services. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Found out off camera you're from Texas, San Antonio way.
Yes.
And but you've been in working here in this area for, you said what, 25 years?
Yes, I've been in Winston-Salem for 25 years. I've been with Forsyth County Social Services for 18.
I just think that's great. Now let's talk about, you emailed me one day and there's something called the Food and Nutrition Services Employment and Training Program. That's a long title, but what is that all about?
Yes. So we usually just call it F&S ENT. It is a program for education and vocational training that we offer in Forsyth County for our food and nutrition services participants. So people who receive what we used to call food stamps
Right.
actually are eligible to attend school.
Now, what kind of things can they benefit from, learn from, whatever, under this program?
So under this program, they're actually eligible for tuition, books, assistance with transportation. We can assist with parking passes.
Things that would normally be obstacles to trying to get where they want to go in life, right?
Yes, sir. And right now, Forsyth County doesn't have a waiting list for daycare assistance either. So if daycare is an obstacle and they sign up for this program, then they can also sign up with daycare vouchers as well.
Now, you also said something to me, I guess last week, about partners in the community. What do you mean partners in the community?
So we actually partner with Forsyth Technical Community College and Providence Culinary Training as our vocational partners. So at Providence, of course, it's going to be a vocational certification where they'll get a culinary degree. They'll also get ServSafe with that for free. And then Forsyth Tech, they can actually take whatever they'd like to take that Forsyth Tech offers. Forsyth Tech has CNA, Med Tech,
Oh, yeah.
welding.
Yeah.
They have dental assistants, so they've got all kinds of
Everything.
things. Yes, sir.
Everything. Now, can an individual, you talked about what we used to refer to as food stamps and people who are on, getting that kind of assistance can get in the program. But let me ask you, let's say that somebody has no minor children in the house, no dependents can they still participate in the program?
Absolutely. This program is anyone who is a citizen and lives in Forsyth County and receives food stamp benefits, food and nutrition services, they are eligible to receive those benefits as long as they're 18 or older. That's for males and females.
Suppose somebody's watching this, Micki, and says, well, it sounds like a good program, but how does it affect me? In other words, why is what you're doing beneficial to the whole community?
This is beneficial because it's gonna, once they go to school, they're able to get better jobs, to get better economic positioning. So it's gonna benefit them because they don't have to come out of pocket for anything. And then they're not gonna have to pay loans back or anything like that once school is over with. After they've graduated and completed their programs, I could still possibly help them with transportation for an additional 3 months after they finish.
Wow. Now, what about, sometimes people say, well, this sounds too good to be true. I bet it's hard to sign up for. I bet it's hard to get in the system. How do we get to it?
Not at all. Just got to give us a call. The phone number is 336-703-3800.
I'm a slow writer, so tell me again. I'm going to write it down on my page.
336
Okay,
703
okay,
3800.
okay,
Select option 3
okay.
and tell them that they need to speak with someone in the employment and training program.
All right.
It'll come
That
straight
sounds
to
easy.
me.
Sounds easy.
It's very easy. The application's about 20 minutes. As long as they're receiving food and nutrition services on a current application, on a current case,
Right.
they're eligible for my program.
I think what you're doing is great. We only have about 30 seconds left.
Yes.
And we didn't rehearse this or anything, but what's gratifying to you about your job?
I get to see my community growing. I get to see my people making something of themselves, being able to get bragging rights. And I love it.
Well, you've got a lot to brag about because of all the people you help, and I appreciate
Thank
you being here.
you.
Will you come back sometime?
I definitely will. Thank you again for having me.
All right, Micki. We'll be right back after this.
Don't procrastinate. Vaccinate. School immunizations are available right now at Forsyth County Department of Public Health. Make sure your child is prepared for next school year by getting their immunizations now. Immunizations are available at no charge for Medicaid and uninsured patients. Call 336-703-3324 to schedule an appointment. For more information, visit forsyth.cc/public health. Forsyth County Department of Public Health. Promoting health, improving lives.
Stress can keep you from sleeping, affect your moods, hurt your health, and your relationships. If you've lost a job, worry about your next meal, or have trouble making it through the day, we can help. Text STRESS to 211-211 to find a solution.
Back now on this edition of Forsyth County Connections, and I want to address a very serious topic with a gentleman that has agreed to come over here and help us learn more about addiction recovery and ARCA and all the fine work that organization, that agency is doing. Darrell Broyles is Chief Operating Officer for Addiction Recovery Care Association, as I said, abbreviated as ARCA. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
What is the mission of your association, if you had to sum it up?
ARCA provides treatment services for substance use disorders, advocates for those in recovery, and educates the community.
Now, I got an email that said that I should ask you about something called Never Walk Alone. I want you to tell me about it.
Never Walk Alone is an event that's it's been around for 3 years now. COVID slowed us down a little bit, but we work with the Sheriff's Office. And it's an event that creates some awareness and education about addiction or substance use disorders.
What's your goal for doing it, do you think? What can people take away from it? What's the message?
I think the main message we want people to know is that people can recover and get better from substance use disorders, and also the resources that are available. There's a lot of resources available in the community that people are just not aware of.
I want to mention that the event itself, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, is Saturday, September 16th, 3 to 6 p.m. at Bailey Park. Is that right?
That's correct.
I think it's going to be a big turnout, but let me ask you this. Who would you say is the target audience that you would like to come to Never Walk Alone, or is it okay for everybody to come?
I think everybody would be invited. Addiction or substance use disorders are a family disease. It affects all parts of the family. While the person that is addicted may or may not be the one that shows up, but other family members are impacted by that person in their family who's got a substance use disorder. And they might benefit from coming out and seeing the resources that are available and learn some more about the disease and how to get some help for their loved one.
What can I expect to see if I go out there on September 16th?
So there's going to be live music, there's bands, we had the Phase Band, which draws a pretty good crowd.
Right.
Darrell Gordon, the Unity Dance Group, the Hype Soul Line Dance, that's going to be going on through the day. There'll be a few speakers. And there will be lots of resources. Providers will be out there, and county agencies will be there that will have information available, and they'll be giving away stuff. There'll be some free T-shirts. There'll be some stuff for kids.
Is that one of the?
Yeah,
let me see that in a second here.
One of the T-shirts here.
TJ's going to get me if I do this, but I'm going to hold it up anyway because we got this monitor here. You know, Forsyth County Connections. Y'all know what the title of the show is. All right. So here, you hold that sleeve over there. It says "Never Walk Alone" on that end. And then we're going to flip it over here, and it says Addiction Awareness Event, and it's got some tennis shoes to symbolize walking through. That's pretty neat. Now, see, people can buy these, or
No, those are going to be free.
These are free.
Yeah, they're given away.
I need a 4X extra. Well, I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, but what's the tie-in with ARCA? I mean, I think I know, but there are a lot of events that go on. Why this event? Why you tied in?
So, unfortunately, with substance use disorders, quite often people make some bad decisions and there's a lot of illegal activity that happens. So it just so happens that we work quite often with the sheriff's department and the jail and folks that are in trouble because of their substance use problem. So there's a lot of referrals that happen between ARCA and Forsyth County.
You know, I know we don't do commercials on this show, but you help so many people, ARCA does. I just wanted to take a minute or so, if you would, and just explain sort of a process. If a family's in crisis or there's an addiction problem or whatever, how does a referral work? Do you do consultation? What happens?
You can, there's several options, but you can just basically call us and we can do a pre-screen with somebody over the telephone and we'll determine what their needs might be. And it may or may not be ARCA, it just depends on where they are in their disease.
Right.
But we can do a pre-screen and determine that over the telephone, and then once they come into ARCA, depending on the substance they're using, they probably would go into detox for about a week and get cleared get the drugs and alcohol out of their system, and then we encourage them to stay for treatment, and that's a 3-week treatment program that they would be with us.
Family support important in it?
Absolutely. We have a family counselor, and we try to involve family in the treatment process.
Well, let me just give a plug then. You can go to arcanc.org is the website, or you can call, correct me if I'm wrong now, 877-615-2722. Is that okay?
That's correct.
Darrell, thanks for all you're doing, and congratulations. I know the event's going to be great, and will you come back sometime?
Be glad to.
All right.
Thanks.
We'll be right back after this.
Every year, 4.5 million young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 visit the ER.
It's every parent's nightmare.
Umergency gives you all the tools you need to quickly and effectively manage your family's emergency. Umergency provides instant access to vital resources, customized to your student's campus and local community, digital consent form, and built-in urgent alert button. Umergency gives you peace of mind when you need it most. Download your Umergency app now.
Back now in our final segment for this edition of Forsyth County Connections. Thanks for sticking with us. The guest we have now is a first-time visitor to the show, and he has a lot of responsibility, but we're going to talk about some really fun events coming up, and he knows all about them. With me now is Drew Wiles, and Drew is Marketing and Events Manager for Forsyth County Parks and Recreation Department. Good to see you.
Thank you.
What kind of special events does the department have going on right now or coming up soon?
Yeah, so we're always busy with stuff. Throughout the fall is kind of our biggest season for special events. We still have 2 summer concerts left, one in September and then one in October. We have Southern Charm at the Farm. Not really a special event, but we do have a pickleball facility that we're opening up here in mid-August.
Yeah, I want to ask about the facilities and some of the things about pickleball, because I don't play it. I want to learn more about it. I'll get to that in just a second. But
Gotcha.
When you talk about Southern Charm at the Farm, I have never been to that. Tell me what it is and what you see when you get there.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a very large artisan craft festival. They have about 200 vendors total. Every year they have we do 2 shows a year actually, one in the spring and then one in the fall. They'll have anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 people.
Good
they have multiple food trucks there, live music. It's really just a big festival.
When does that occur?
So this year it'll be September 30th for the fall, and so the date kind of varies per year.
Right. Well, I just think that's great. Now, I want to sort of move ahead just a little bit, because I guess one of the big signature events for the county is the Festival of Lights. And we usually talk about it, you know, as it's getting closer to it. And here we are still in the summer, but there are things going on to get ready for Festival of Lights. For people just moving in the area, tell us what Festival of Lights is.
So Festival of Lights, it's a drive-through light show that's out at Tanglewood Park. It is just over 5 miles in length. The entire route, we have over 1 million light bulbs throughout the route. And we host 50,000 cars a year, and we run nightly from November 17th until January 1st this year.
And people might be watching and say, well, Drew, why are you telling me about November 17th? Well, the reason is that we want to have you on is because there's a lot that people don't realize that goes into getting that ready. Talk about the preparation.
So really, the prep for any upcoming show for the year, really it starts in March. You don't start to see the prep until August, maybe early September. That's when our maintenance team, they start kind of going through all the displays, start picking things out. And you'll start see them popping up throughout the park in late September and early October. And then, like I said, the show runs through January 1st. And so after the show, they don't really have them down until the first week of February.
Right. Now, again, sort of getting ahead of ourselves, but if people, it's really not too early to start sort of planning out when you want to go, because as you said, that really fills up pretty quickly with that many people coming through. So is it better to try to go on the weekends or weekdays, or what do you advise people to do once it starts gearing up?
Yeah, so we love to encourage people to come out on weeknights. On the weekends, the show does so much volume. It could be a 2-3 hour wait some nights.
Right.
On the weeknight, normally it's a pretty steady flow of traffic, and it just makes it a more enjoyable experience for the customer, and it makes it easier on our side of things, providing that experience.
Yeah, you're talking about the cars going through and seeing the beauty of this thing, but you said the word customer, so let me key on that for a second. Is there going to be a charge to get in per car, or how are you going to do that?
Yes, sir. So it is a $20 for cash and $23 for card for entry into the show.
Now, I interrupted you a few minutes ago, and were there any other special events you wanted to mention that might be coming up later this year or anything?
No, that was mostly the bulk of it. We do have one more big event, Tour to Tanglewood, that we'll host, I believe it's the second to last week in September.
Okay.
And that's a 2-day bike race event that we host out at Tanglewood.
And then you mentioned the pickleball thing. Are there plenty of places to play, and do people have to reserve courts? How's that work?
So right now we only have one place in the county where you can play pickleball at. That would be at Joni Moser Park in Louisville, and the grand opening of that is in mid-August, so it should be open by the time the show comes out.
Do you play pickleball?
I don't play pickleball right now. I'm still on the tennis side, but thinking about moving over. But
That's all right. That's all right. I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one on the set that didn't play it. But you're ready for them anyway. Drew, I appreciate that. And is there a general Parks and Recreation website, or can people just go to the main website to find out what's going on, or what?
Yep. So they can reach us through the main website. They can also do forsyth.cc/parks, or if they just want to go directly to Tanglewood, tanglewoodparknc.org.
Drew, I appreciate you being with us. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
And as we wrap up things, I want to thank the crew here, of course, the hospitality, the folks at Cable 2, TJ and Kevin and Chris and all the great folks. Of course, Jeff is our editor and puts things together. Ed McNeal, our executive producer on this, and Dudley Watts, of course, for all their help and for your being willing to stick around for 30 minutes and watch. We appreciate that. We'll see you on the next edition of Forsyth County Connections.